This tabletop motif is from my Cottage core series, and so we've got this desktop where we're looking down like a flat lay, and you can see I've emulated it over here, which is fun to work with. So go ahead and grab your line drawing and all of your art supplies, and we'll learn how to give an impression of texture and shadow and to paint in a line drawing. So let's get started. I've taken my tropical set. I've got a couple of extras here that I can work with that you can always add to your kit. And also I've mixed up a bunch of colors over here from the tropical set and a black. You can always get a tube of black watercolor and just dab a little dollop inside your tray here. It will just dry and you can reactivate it anytime you want. So that's a great idea to supplement all of your supplies. So I've got my water brush here and we're going to get started. I'm going to start from top to bottom right now, and I've got some of this kind of rusty orangish color here to start with my candle. So we're giving an impression here of kind of that having a little bit of light in it. It's a nice little piece of pottery. The photo that I used as a reference, and I've got a water brush that I'm clearing off in between color changes, and basically I'm just following some of these lines, giving an impression, leaving the white of the paper, which you'll know from watching my videos is always critical. You can always go back and fill in a little bit more, but I am just following this kind of rounded edge here in those lines to make sure we know what we're looking at. And then I'm going to get this kind of golden color to do this flame because of course it's on and it's moody. So we're sitting there considering the photos that we've taken, some of the flowers that we've picked. This is more of a fall kind of look in colorway, but you can do it for obviously any time. So you could pick spring and do these in different colors. And I'm just going to probably just leave that as is for now. And we can come back and add some more layers to it later. And now we'll work on this little pot of flowers here. And I'm working from my reference, but I'm going to kind of change it up because I do a lot of these and I like to do something different every time and be creative. So you can do the same thing as well. Okay, so I've got the basis of that, and then I kind of picked this. It's like a hibiscus and pineapple mix here to get this sort of poppy orange. So we'll do a couple passes at it, but what I'm going to do is come in here and sort of give the impression of these little flowers. Have a little bit of a brighter green for this set of dried flowers. So I'm getting some of the stems and going to just dabble in a little bit of green because there's stems and things that are back in the background underneath these flowers that we don't have lines for. And I've got this, like these two blankets here. They're a little tricky. So I've got a lot of texture, and I've got like a mauve color one that I had at home. In the picture, it was more of a brown color. So I did create, I'm going to see if I like, so I don't like the mauve color there, but I may do it for down here. So we've got two different blankets because of course we're being cozy. It's cottage core and it's all about knitting and doing those fun hobbies like watercolor and such. Oops, I forgot a flower right there. And so I'm kind of following some of those lines that I've got. And now I want to leave the white of the paper in here. I'm just kind of dabbling from the top of my brush where that pigment has pooled in there. And you may be able to, especially if you knit, you might be able to come up with a better pattern here. But I left it kind of open so that you could have enough to guide you and then enough space to kind of create your own. And I'm going to make kind of a gray here to, oops, come in and sort of add some shadow and depth. And that water will evaporate and it'll leave nice little edges to those flowers. We can't do the leaves yet because we don't want it to bleed into the rest, but if you can, and you can always practice doing a thin line, don't touch those. That'll go underneath a mat, but at least you'll have it there. Let's do our books from the bottom up. And this book goes over to this side, and these are supposed to be kind of old books that have been well loved, kind of worn, and a little bit of that edge there because the pages are in between. I'm going to add a little bit of black to that just to kind of see how that bright green just kind of toned down a little bit. And that book comes over here, leaving a white of the paper a little bit to show it's worn. I have a couple of different book stacks, so you can watch those videos and sort of see what I'm doing. It's good to use my references if you're using my Take and Paints because they're so small you may not know what you're looking at. And we'll see how that looks. Yeah, I like that. And I think that's great for autumn. You can obviously, like I said, you could do this for spring so that your flowers are bright and poppy. Your books can be, kind of a really dark hunter green, and be a little more serious types of books, or bright and colorful. So it's up to you to design kind of your book stack. I just think you should do them in either different colors or different shades so that you can tell the difference between each. Okay, I think our flowers are dry enough at the top. I picked this kind of similar color green for my top. Going carefully around those flower stems. And then I'm going to pop in just a little bit, not too much water, in between. I haven't even done the green of the leaves yet, so you may want to do that first before you fill this in so that you know what's what. But since it's green, you can just go right over it. But if you pick a different book color, you may want to do that first. That jacket. Now I will dip into here and get these, oops, that's thick, stems and leaves. So once we put this background in, that white won't be as stark. You can make this table a dark mahogany wood if you want. You just have to be careful then that your vessels and things are more of a lighter tone so that they'll have enough contrast. Now I'm going to, while it's still wet, kind of come in here and add a little brown inside there just to kind of give it some texture, make it look like a table. You can do yours lighter or darker. And now I'm going to leave this white, and I picked this really dark green that I used over there, and you can put flowers in here instead of doing them all as leaves, or you can do all green like I did, especially if you're doing spring. It might be nice to put some purples and pinks into here, but I'm literally not following all the lines. Trying my best, but I'm not going to sit here and make myself crazy trying to fill all those in. I've got an impression of this little pattern on the teacup. And you can see mine, it's got variations of color, so you just want to do the same thing in here. Okay, so I'm going to use like a little bit of mauve in here. And I need the white of the paper more so because I don't have a secondary color. I mean, I'll make one, but I want it to stand out as the contrast. Got a big splash across there when I was doing something, so let me go ahead and clear my brush, and I'm going to just go over that area. I've never done that before, and just kind of dab at it and pull some of that back, and that'll go on the table. So for this case, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so what I did here is I just kind of let this drop off the edge of the paper. So you can always take your pencil and try to draw in more if you want. So now I'm trying to do a little bit of a darker across here just to kind of give that contrast. We'll see how that dries. It's a little bit pink for the rest of this. Okay, I'm liking how that's shaping up, and it's going to look good with the rest of what we're doing over here. So I'm going to go right now and start doing the same thing we did up here, but I chose some like lavender flowers that will go with that book over there. That's just something to consider when you're working out your palette. This is a muted purple straight out of the box. It's a bright purple, and so I'm going to use just a little dab of that inside these just to put that contrast in there. Put our paper in the areas we did not paint, or be very careful. And I'm going to just add the green on top of that, but you can be more careful around there. Oh, we forgot to do this little area here. It's part of our blanket. And by we, you know I mean me, because it's just me, although I'm pretending we're all here together. I'd love it if you went on Instagram and posted or tagged me in or message me with your finished product so I can see it. And sometimes I'll post people's work when I've got a minute to do that, but I for sure want to see it. You can put it in the YouTube channel, you can comment in that way. Putting that rim there and getting some across the top here. And if you feel like you're good at doing a small line, you can go around that rim or just leave it on the dish itself, or don't do it at all. Now I'm going to pop another layer in here. I'm going to add a little bit more brown just to kind of Tone down the orange in this corner. That handmade pottery kind of a look. And now I'm going to work on more of my table. So you can just do this all at once at the end. You can leave your table white, like a farmhouse table. Like I said, you can make it really dark. You just want to make sure you keep in mind what your other elements will be so that they pop and don't get lost on the dark surface. And so here we're just really kind of letting the table sort of fall away out of that picture. Sometimes it's a little hard for your mind to let go of that it's not perfect and finished as if it's a photograph, but we're not doing a photograph, we're painting. So you can hopefully give yourself that ability, and we will come up here and do the same thing. All right, and then since I have this blanket color here, these little doodads for fall, after your table's dry, you can start to fill those in. Start the first layer. And we've got this gold spoon over here, and so I'm going to make it the same color as that flame, which was in this box, a little bit of coconut, a little bit of pineapple. And now let me get these leaves. In the original photograph, this was lighter and they just kind of had like a tan or brown leaf on top here, but I kind of liked it with a little pop of color, especially with this over here. I think adding some of that tone down here will help balance. I also paint acrylic, large canvases, and I've done some live painting. So I painted in a, believe it or not, in a West Elm store. It's a furniture store, and in South End in Charlotte. And you know, when you're first starting, it's like you think people are going to walk by and be like, this lady's terrible, you know. But if you have the confidence and know that it'll turn out okay after it's all said and done, that's good. And it did. I sold the painting. It's hanging over her fireplace. Maybe it's her dining room. I think it's her dining room. She showed me a picture. So coming in here and putting these little raggedy edges on this well-loved journal here. Might be a book of poetry. It's whatever we want it to be. And we'll put our stems in here. Right, now we've got these stems. We're really coming to the home stretch here. I am proud of you if you watch this whole thing. The point is to get you painting, get you kind of over the fear factor, teach you some things, even how to deal with disappointment as you're working and how to fix it so that you end up loving it in the end. This is really coming together nicely. Okay, you know what we have left is this camera. So hopefully you've got a black, or you mix your hibiscus and ocean together to create a black. Over here we kind of have a highlight. So I'm only painting to there and then coming along there. I went right to the bottom, so I'll go across that way. And the inside of here is also black. You want to practice your small fine lines ahead of time. We've got the inside of the Camry here. It's a little old-timey, so it's this kind of brown parchment color you can decide. Got this kind of gray, which is a watered down black here. And I'll let that sort of set so they don't get all into each other. Going to come along here and get some more gold. This stopwatch. Thought that was kind of fun in this flat lay photo. And we've got some shadows to put in here, and that's kind of our last thing where we're kind of coming across here and here and filling this in with a shadow for those two things. We've got a little bit of a shadow underneath this sweater. Put that around a little bit, and that's nice. Little shadow in here, under there. The camera. And then our blanket would have a bit here. And a little bit around our flowers, and down in here on that book we want to make sure those pages aren't bright, because of course that's going to shade that. Get a shadow at the edge of this book. And we'll just put in a little bit of depth along here. Same thing, kind of come in here with a little bit of dark, it could be a dark green or brown, just to make sure to fill that in. And we didn't do the twine there. Okay. So let me get these little doodads over here. We'll get a little shadow on those so that we know that they're dimensional. So I might work on this a little bit more if I wasn't doing a video, but that's the gist of it. Whoop, we forgot to put a little bit of a line in here on our table. I tell you, one of the hardest things as an artist is to know when you're actually done with something. So really like how it turned out. I would totally pop that in a frame.